Jango, welcome back. Was your trip productive?
Fairly.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's come to check on our progress.
Your clones are very impressive. You must be very proud.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
Ever made your way as far into the interior as Coruscant?
Once or twice.
Recently?
Possibly.
Then you must know Master Cypher Diaz.
Boba, Rudev Sohib. Master who?
Cypher Diaz. Is he not the Jedi who hired you for this job?
Never heard of him.
Really?
I was recruited by a man called Tyrannus on one of the moons of Bogdan.
Curious.
Do you like your army?
I look forward to seeing them in action.
They'll do their job well. I'll guarantee that.
Let's watch that last section again. As we know, communication consists mostly of body language, facial expressions, and vocal tone. We can observe the scene with a more magnified perspective. Watch.
I look forward to seeing them in action.
They'll do their job well. I'll guarantee that.
Here's a man who is a bounty hunter, following money to the depths of the darkest parts of the galaxy, to wherever the payer sends him. Righteous, illegal, or murderous, he does whatever best interests his pocket. He is a man well known to have killed tons of Jedi in his time, so when he says they'll do their job, I'll guarantee that, then looks at the Jedi Master dead in the eyes without blinking, you know there is an immense underlying in the foreshadowing of his message. Exploring the topic of Jango Fett and his knowledge, or lack thereof, regarding Order 66, his clones knew about it, obviously. But did he? Some assume he didn't, while others assume he did, regardless of the unsurety ensuing the topic. Now, if you have read one of the Republic Commando books, it explains Jango knew a lot of this plan. Dooku told him about Order 66 when he first hired him. Fett hated the Jedi with a passion, so killing all of them was a bonus on top of getting paid for his DNA and clone training. In the book, Boba Fett, The Fight to Survive, it is established that Jango was one of the very few people who knew perfectly well that Count Dooku and Darth Tyrannus were the same person. Now, although the army was led by Dooku and Sidious, Fett's loyalty lied with Dooku. So why Jango, you may ask? Well, firstly, I'll say he wanted an army that came from someone who had proven abilities against Jedi if necessary, which they were. In the comics, Jango killed 6 Jedi without using weapons, which is rather silly, I agree, but it's true. The question of why Jango Fett was chosen is answered in Karen Travis's novel Order 66. Now, Mandalorians were, and I'm going to quote the book Republic Commando 000. Before the cloning process began, the Kaminoans tampered with Fett's DNA to ensure that the clones were primarily dominated by behavioral genes that emphasize certain qualities such as loyalty, aggression, independence, and discipline in order to guarantee that the army would be more docile and less independent than their template. Getting paid a lot of money, given a clone's son, and you get to wipe out your favorite enemy, the Jedi, you can imagine Jango was on board for this. Fett was given a clone for a son and paid substantially for his work. This was his motivation. After training the army, Dooku hired him as a personal bodyguard. Now, if the question arises, what if someone else paid Jango more? I'd find it hard to say that he wouldn't switch sides, but at the end of the day, he didn't care for the Separatists or anyone for that matter. He had no loyalties to anything but his wallet. It makes me wonder, however, what if he was alive during Order 66? I think this would have drastically changed things, don't you? As no one was a better trained assassin to the Jedi than Jango Fett, considering he was the main man the Empire hired and based their clones off his DNA. Now, if Darth Maul was still around, I'm sure he would have been the first choice, but unfortunately, we don't get to see him in the movies anymore. If he would have survived leading up to Order 66, he would have probably shown up to the Chancellor's office when Mace Windu had him cornered, ensuing in a captivating fight between the three of them. Jango was no match for Windu, of course, but with Palpatine on his team, I think he could provide just enough distraction to kill the Jedi Master. Perhaps a shot of his flamethrower and some Force lightning from Palpatine? It may have been too confusing for Mace. Possibly Anakin would have jumped in at that point to join Mace, which would make it even more epic and confusing at the same time. Who knows? I mean, that's another fanfiction that I could do in the future if you like. Now, a question I'd like to discuss in the comments is for whoever has the answer or can hypothesize this. Wouldn't it have been a good decision for Palpatine to execute Order 66 during the Battle of Geonosis? Hundreds of Jedi were in the Colosseum. It would have been the perfect moment upon the arrival of the clones to the scene. Now, perhaps Palpatine had much more in the office that he wanted to corrupt and control before he announced the Order, of course. Thanks for watching this episode of Star Wars Theory. I hope it gave you some insight on Jango's knowledge regarding Order 66, why he was cloned, and a drop of fan fiction in there too. Check out my other videos when you get a chance, and I'll see you all in tomorrow's episode of Star Wars Theory. Until next time, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, I wish you all a great day or night, and
may the Force be with you.